Hi there, welcome to SheleeArt and thank you for watching. If you're new here, do hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos, and if you're one of my regulars, please do hit the like and share buttons. So today I'm going to be doing a Nikki D style Dutch Bloom Swipe using this Little Piggy Pigments and regular tube paints on this wooden plaque that you can hang on the wall. And it's plywood that's been triple gessoed or primed, and I've waited for the layers to dry in between each layer, so it should be pretty good to really pour on now. Okay, so it's a couple of mil thick, as you can see, so it shouldn't warp or anything. And what I want to do is a Dutch Bloom Swipe, similar to the ones that Nikki D does, because I'm inspired by her work, as well as the ones that Nancy Wood does. And this is my first time trying this out, so I did do a small tester piece, which I'll put a picture of that up on the screen for you now, on a very small tile, 10 centimeters by 10 centimeter tile, and I did that as a test piece to make sure that my colors work. Now, to look at my colors, I'll tell you what they are in a minute, but I'm using a combination of acrylic tube paints along with some This Little Piggy Pigments mixed in with my pouring medium. Now I'm doing a separate video to show you how I mix my pigments and how I mix my tube paints, and I'll pop that up very soon onto my YouTube channel, SheleeArt. But as I said, there's a combination of different colours here, so I'm just going to run through them for you. So this one here is this Little Piggy from fluidart.co, and it's fairy floss. Okay, and then after that one we have a really vibrant orange, beautiful vibrant orange, which is this, and again that's this Little Piggy pigment, and it's called Mosh. Next up we have another This Little Piggy pigment. I did want to use quite a few of them for this bloom swipe, and this one is Hustle. Again, beautiful vibrant colors, and you get quite a fair bit in here, and this lasts quite a while, so when you mix it up you only need really a teaspoon of it to produce quite a lot of paint, as you can see in here. So there's a fair bit of paint in there, and I probably could have put more pouring medium in here if I wanted to and not lost the color, the vibrancy of the color that much. Okay, so next up then, again sticking with this Little Piggy, I actually did a custom color for the green here. Okay, and the green is a combination of half a teaspoon of this Little Piggy, which is grunge, very vibrant green, mixed in with two Pebeo colors. This is Pebeo Studio Acrylics, and that's an opaque color. It's cadmium green hue, and a dollop of this one, which is also Pebeo. It's one of my favorite colors. It's an iridescent green yellow, really beautiful color, really shimmery in the light when you use it, and the camera doesn't really pick up how beautiful it is, but it is one of my favorite colors. So it's a dollop of that and a dollop of the other green, and a tiny half a teaspoon of the grunge mixed together with my pouring medium to create this color here. Next up then we have this violet color here, and that violet color is actually an Amsterdam color, ultramarine violet, mixed in with this Pebeo fluorescent pink, because I wanted to lighten that violet up a little bit, and I produced this custom color then out of those two, which is quite nice, and hopefully will make the painting look amazing. So these are my colors. In here I have my cell activator, okay, and that is Australian Floetrol with a little bit of Amsterdam titanium white acrylic paint, and I'll put the ratio up for you in the description box below the video and up on the screen, so you can see what my ratios and mixtures were with pouring medium and cell activators. Okay, so we're going to get started in a second. Okay, so one thing I forgot to mention is my pillow, or rather my base colors, because this is a swipe, a bloom swipe, so it's a sort of a Dutch bloom swipe, combining two techniques. So my base is Valspar House Trade paint in the silk, with a little bit of water to thin it down, because it does happen to be quite thick in the tin, and I buy this in the UK where I'm based, and I buy it in B&Q, and you can pick up a tin. It's quite pricey, the trade one, but you can also get the regular one, which is not trade, so just the Valspar house paint in the green tin. But I tend to use the trade because it's slightly thicker and allows me to have thicker paints when I've mixed it in. But there are other ways of doing that, for example using gel medium and other types of ingredients that you can use to thicken up your paint if you want to, or you can leave the lid off for a day or two and it does thicken up a little bit. Okay, to thin it down I sometimes use Josonia varnish or Vallejo polyurethane water-based varnish, but you can use any number of varnishes as long as they're water-based. To thin it down, or even a little bit of water is okay, a spray of water here and there just to thin those paints down if you need to. Okay, so I'll pop you up on the stand now and hopefully you can see me get started, and I'll play a bit of music for you as well. Okay, just to let you know, I have got on me another device which I'll need for this technique. So with the Bloom Dutch Swipe, I'm going to be using this, which is the world's smallest blower. It's the orange one, which actually blows really well in terms of speed. And it is the first time today that I've actually used it. I did it on the test piece, and I was trying to get used to really the way I have to hold it, and the button there. And this nozzle here, this is one of many 3D printed nozzles that I purchased, with a very narrow, if you can see that, a very narrow nib to help the paint glide across the surface. And then there's a couple of other nozzles really that come with it, and I bought these on Etsy. At some other point I'll show you the other ones, but there's quite a few variations of nozzles which are really useful for fluid acrylic painting. Okay, so I'm going to be using this thin flat nozzle in this piece of artwork. Okay, and there it is, and you can see if I press the button, if I hold it down, release, it sort of blows out, and then if I press it once it switches on, press it again, it switches off. So it's really easy to handle and it's a nice little gadget. It's better than I suppose some of the hair dryers because this piece is going to be quite a small piece, and I just want to make sure that I can control the paints as well as I can with the smaller kind of nozzle. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to get started with my Valspar Trade house paint. I'm just going to make sure it's not separated because of the fact that there's some water in there, and I will then pop this across the top of this board, and hopefully there's no bits in it that I need to pull out, and there's no blobby bits that I'm trying to avoid. So there's a little hole there, I've noticed, where some cord was to hang this heart up. So it's sort of a plaque, wooden plaque that can be hung up on the wall, and I'm going to do it on this because I'm not very experienced in this technique. I've watched dozens of videos by Nikki D on her wonderful channel, Nikki D Art, check it out if you haven't, and she does this technique. She's a master at this technique, and so is Nancy Wood, who's Southampton based, I believe, in the UK, and she's got some brilliant artwork and tutorials on her channel. So check them out if you can. I think Nancy Wood is actually on Instagram more than she is on YouTube, so you can take her course as well if you're a beginner and you want to learn certain techniques, particularly this type of technique. So yeah, check them out and see what you think. My channel, Taslima Maya Art, if you haven't yet subscribed, please do, so you can be notified of any future videos that I put out. And hit the notification bell as well so you don't miss those. And if you like this video, guys, please do hit like. It's surprising how many people like videos and leave comments but don't actually press the like button, but every little helps. I'm still not monetized, and I'm kind of more of a somebody who's recently started in doing video tutorials, so I'm trying to get my watch hours up and obviously grow my following on YouTube. So any help you can give, I really appreciate it, and thank you for watching this video as well. As I said, it's amazing to have people who want to watch my tutorials and process, in so much as it's fun to actually create artwork like this and experiment with techniques. It's just as brilliant knowing that somebody out there is actually watching and enjoying the videos. So thank you to all of you for watching and subscribing and liking to my videos. So I just want to double check there's nothing in here that I've missed. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but it just looks like there's some, that pillow paint has been in that tube for a while and I haven't used it. So there might be little blobs here and there, and certainly some air bubbles I can see, but I will get rid of them in due course when I use the butane torch on it later. Okay, so just want to make sure there's enough on it to take it to the edge when I do spin it, if I do spin it. and isn't enough paint really to allow it to spread the pattern. There we go. Let's just take that right up there. I might add a tiny bit more paint. I think it wouldn't hurt. Okay, let's do that around the edges a little bit more, just to give it that traction it needs to move later on. There we go. I'm one of those people, like AB Creative and a few other poor artists, who hate to waste paint. It seems counterproductive for me, so I tend to try and use as much as I actually need and not too much, and I'm not wasting stuff that we've already got enough wastage in the world. So for me, it means a lot to make sure I'm slightly frugal with my paints. They do cost a lot of money a lot often, so it's good just to be careful. But then, if it works for you to pour as much away, that's up to you. Everyone has different ways of doing things. For me, I try to use as little as I possibly would need. I am just getting rid of some air bubbles there, if you can see. Okay, so yeah, you do need to use the butane torch in a ventilated area as well. Okay, so let's get started. As I said, I want to do a bloom, so I'm going to start with making sure my paints are mixed up. Where are the rest of the mixing sticks? These are actually glue sticks that you get in the UK, and I just find them easier to use and clean. They've got a flat edge, and I tend not to do huge pieces of artwork, and they're usually quite small, so they sort of fit my purpose. I have, of course, got other types of spatulas, for example, like this, which are quite nice. They're rounded, so in a square container they're not great for the rounded ones. And then many other types as well that I could possibly use, but I do prefer these for now. So I'm just going to mix in that up, and you can see the consistency. It trickles off, it leaves a bit of a trace, and it just goes straight back in. So it's not too thick, and it's not too thin either. Okay, sorry, there you are. Just checking where the camera was then. So that's what the consistency is. Okay, I'm just going to quickly give them all a stir, and then we'll get started. And this piece shouldn't really take long. If you can see that. Beautiful colour. And this is a custom colour, of course. And then let's just give the other ones a stir. Again, this Little Piggy pigment, and they are very, very vibrant, stunning, really. This colour is absolutely stunning. I love it. And this colour, Fairy Floss from TLP, again, this pigment colour is stunning. Honestly, it almost looks edible to me, like candy floss. It's so beautiful. And I'm looking forward to using all of that up. And hopefully won't end up spilling it anyway, because it does cost a fair penny. So this one I think is it grunge or mosh? Let me just check. Yeah, this one is mosh. So again, beautiful orange, vibrant colour. They're all stirred up now, and my cell activator, I think I stirred it already, just double check. I don't need a lot of that, so I haven't mixed much of it up. Okay, so let's get started, shall we? Oops, knocking things over everywhere. Okay, so let's get started. So shall we start with this beautiful Fairy Floss? I'm going to start with that and pop that, a big dollop of it right in the middle, maybe a small dollop of it in the middle of my board. Try a bit more. Now this piece of wood here, plywood, is slightly bigger. This plaque is slightly bigger than the test piece I did, which was only 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters. I think that's enough. I don't want to put too much in. Okay, so after that one, I think I'll add a bit of purple or violet even. So this custom violet with kind of a hint of pink in it, and you can really see it in the light. I'll just pop that across the top. I think the colours have thickened up a little bit since I mixed them. And I did mix these up the night before, because I know that pigments take time to saturate into the moisture that you add to it with a pouring medium and a varnish, and they take a while to sort of settle. So I always say try to mix your pigments up a day before if you can, rather than a couple of hours before, because it just allows it to sort of breathe, I guess, and settle in, and get fully dispersed in the fluid. So Let's just put a line across there. So what I want is, I want a bloom, and it's going to be sort of a Dutch bloom, so I'm going to blow it out with a little blower there, similar to what Olga Sobi does. And then the plan is then to use a palette knife if I can. Maybe I'll add a bit more to this, and I'll add a bit more later on again to try and get that stem right. Okay, so I want a beautiful green stem if I can help it. Famous last words, may not happen. We never know what's going to happen. We just know that we want to give it a go. Maybe I'll put orange, this mosh colour in next on top of that purple. Oh, I do like that. That's nice, isn't it? There we go. Oops, don't want to knock anything over. What haven't we done this one? Okay, so let's pop that one in. So this is TLP Hustle, and I'm going to pop that across the top, or maybe across the sides. So my idea is to try and get some petals out of this. Okay, maybe that's enough. Right, so we've got that in place, and what we need now is the cell activator. I might just quickly go over it with a torch, get rid of any excess bubbles I can't see. There we go. And now, let me double check you are recording. Yes, you are. Brilliant. Now this is the fun and the scary bit. If you haven't done this very often like myself, I've not done this technique. This is my second time doing this technique. It can get slightly nerve-wracking, simply because you don't know what to expect. And I don't really know if my cell activator is the right consistency. It seems to be sinking very quickly, so maybe it's a bit thin. Probably is, but that's fine. Let's just see where this goes. I'll maybe put an extra bit in at the top there. There we go. Let's see what happens, shall we? So here goes nothing. So I'm going to hold this now and blow it out, okay? So here goes nothing. I'm going to keep it low down. So I'm trying to blow the cell activator over the top of the colours, okay? It's quite hard to control this, by the way. I don't want to overdo it as well. Oops, I forget to turn it off. So I don't want to overdo it, but what I do want to do is make sure that those petals look right. Now, even after doing it to this stage, you can still play with it, really, to get it where you want it to go. So what you can do at this stage is use a straw. I've got a metal straw here, so I'm going to blow out some of those petals a bit further. As you can see, okay, maybe a bit more over here. Okay, maybe a bit over here. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm trying to control it so it looks more like a flower. And at this stage, the pillow paint is quite self-leveling still. It's still quite wet. So that's brilliant. It's looking good. I don't know if you can see that. Oops, your camera's a bit skewed. So that's looking really good. I'm quite happy so far with it. I just want to make sure. Yeah, so that petal's a bit. So we're going to spread this out anyway in a minute. But what I want to do is a swipe now, because this is a combination of two techniques. So the Dutch Bloom and now the swipe. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, let me think. So I want the cell activator on first. Yes, that's right. So I want the cell activator on my palette knife on first. I'm only using a very small palette knife, as you can see. Okay, so I want to draw a stem with my fluid paint. So I'm going to put ample amount of cell activator on my palette knife here. And again, this cell activator is probably on the thin side a little bit. My consistencies seem to be slightly off, but I haven't done a bloom for a long time now, so I've been playing with other types of techniques, as you'll see from my channel. And I'm going to put some green on. There we go, that's probably more than enough. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that. Yep, so I pop some green on top, and I'm going to now do the second technique, which is paint with this palette knife, with cell activator and some tube paint and what's it called, pigment paint in it, in the green. So we are going to try and draw, wish me luck, try and draw a stem with this on this beautiful flower. Okay, so ready, steady, go. My hands are shaking like anything, as you can see. Oops, I got stuck because of this metal. I forgot that I might need to turn this and hope not to drop it. But this is easier to access because this thing stopped me, this metal railing, from... Oh, maybe I should leave it there. It doesn't need to completely go off, does it? Yeah, that could work. So you can see some cells, let me just make sure this bit here comes down. So I'm going to wipe that off now. I'm going to use my palette knife really to tidy up the stem a little bit. So there's a bit here that's slightly green, that should just be white. So I'm going to just push it in, pretty much. So we can still play with it, simply because it's still very fluid, nowhere near dry. Or we can tidy up that stem a little bit. There we go, that's perfect, isn't it? Maybe a little bit by there. And now I'm going to go over it again with a torch, and then we're going to try and, well, maybe we will spin it, but that's pretty much making sure that I have used two techniques. I think we should put a leaf on. What do you guys think? I think we could do with a lovely, maybe a leaf going that way. It just looks, in terms of composition, slightly skewed. And I know that hole there's really annoying me because it's sucking in the paint. I should have probably plugged it with a bit of putty underneath. So let's do a leaf. So again, I'm going to do a really long branch type of leaf. And I'm just going to add the cell activator first to try and give it some tiny, beautiful cells. And I'll pop the green on top in just a couple of lines. There we go. And that's ready. So, shall I just turn this again? Right. Always the problem moving it when it's still very wet. And I'm going to just have a stalk or leaf coming up. Let's do that. There we go. Get that off. And hopefully we should have some cells popping up here if I'm lucky. Again, my cell activator isn't perfect, but still, you know, it's looking good. I hope you agree it's looking good. Let's get the spinner. And this is just quite simply a Lazy Susan. A bit worse for wear at the bottom, but it's got a silicone mat on top, which I've cut to size. It's only a small one. So I'm going to, let's see, how will we do this? Let's pop that there. And then pick this up, right? Let's pick this up. And then pop this down here. And you do need a level surface if you're going to be spinning and things. I'm not 100% sure this is level. I think it is. I hope it doesn't fall over or anything. Let's see. So now I can spin this out with you guys. I really want to put it lower, so I might do that just in case. And some paint might spin off as well, obviously. So let's pop it down here. Move that paint away. I'll pop this down here. So let's spin it, okay? So fingers crossed. That's okay, you're in the middle. So move this. And I'm just going to go slow to begin with. And I mean, I don't have a very thick amount of paint on the canvas. I sort of have enough really. You know, it's probably a couple of mil deep. But I don't want too much on there because when it's drying, it might just sink, you know, in terms of the patterns might fade and not look as good. So yeah, it's spinning out and you can see the paint is actually coming off the edge. If I can find something to scrape it. Okay, I found it. Okay, so this, I'm just going to make sure some of that paint is just being scraped off. And as you can see, I'm not wasting a lot of paint. There's not a lot of paint that's, oops, coming off this plaque. I just have to make sure that it's enough to cover all the gaps where there isn't any paint. And then there's this bit here. Scrape that off so that it doesn't drag the flowers too much. Okay. So even a very gentle spin is probably going to be enough. We don't need to vigorously spin it. You can see it's almost off the edge there, almost off the edge there, and almost off the edge there. And to help it along, I can just from my I can help it along by simply just either adding a little bit of white paint here or just sort of just allowing it to follow the coverage there. And again here, you know, before it starts drying too much and doesn't want to roll. Okay, there we go. Let's just finish this off now, and let's spin it one more time. Okay, let's have a look at it now. Okay, so what we can do now is we can get a skewer and give it some more form in terms of being a flower. So I can just take this bit down. There's a bit of something here that shouldn't be here. Okay, there's one, and then maybe there, maybe here, and again. So yeah, so we're just looking at the design here and making sure that there's nothing in there that shouldn't be with this piece of group. There you go. There we go. And there's something here as well by the looks of it, just under the surface. Oops, get that off. Okay, so yeah, I don't know what you think, but it's looking good, you know. It's looking like a flower, like I wanted it to. And I'll just bring it out, you out down to look at it. So this is what it looks like. And as I said, this is my second go, so it's all about improvement. And I don't know, really learning on the journey about what works, what doesn't. I will need to change my cell activator in terms of how the proportions of it, so I might have to thicken it up with a bit more Amsterdam white acrylic paint and less Floetrol. But so far so good. It's looking really pretty. I'm just going to give it a few tendrils around here to make it look like a flower, and I can just do that like this. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'll see you on the next one then. I'm just going to finish off and see you on the next one. So thank you for joining me, and speak to you soon.